6 people have been killed in California in a situation that security experts are suspecting to be a cartel hit. These 6 people includes a 16-year-old mother and her baby boy who was just 10 months old. Reports indicate that this mother was trying to get away from the gunman, and this gunman shot her, walked up to her, stood over her and her baby, and then shot them both. This happened in Goshen, California, in the USA, in the early hours of the 17th of January, 2023. This is the true crime story of a family that has been wiped out by suspected gunmen who are suspected to have ties with either the cartel or a gang that is equally as vicious. If you are ready for this ride, buckle up and let's go. Now, this story has shaken the United States of America to its core because, fine, there are gang hits, there are suspected cartel hits that do occur on various issues from time to time, but not to this extent, where a young mother who is 16 years old would actually be executed alongside her 10-month-old baby boy. This is on a whole different level, and it happened in Goshen. Now, the sheriff indicated that from their investigations, the young teenage mother was fleeing the violence that early dawn, but the killers followed up, chased her. They caught up with her outside the house that they were doing the hit at, and then they shot her and they stood over her and her baby. She had her baby in her arms. They stood over them and then they shot them again in a typical assassination style shooting. So in total, 6 family members were killed in this way. Now, the other 4 victims were ranging from the age of 19 to 72 years old. And this included a grandmother who was also asleep. And the killers decided that this old woman who was peacefully sleeping was not going to be left spared. They actually executed her also whilst she slept. Now, autopsies are ongoing, and it's expected that the autopsies will be completed somewhere next week. But authorities are already having a form of a lead. They indicated that they were searching for 2 suspects, and as it stands now, a reward has been put out for any information leading to the arrests of these 2 people. A reward of $10,000 has been put on their head, because according to the security agencies, they are of the view that none of this was an accident, and that it seems like it was deliberate, intentional, and very horrific. Now, it is still unclear why this family was actually targets, if they were, but it looks like they were actually targets. That seems so obvious. And according to the lead investigator on this, he indicated that these people were clearly shot in the head, and they were also shot in places where the shooter knew that a quick death would occur, and that this was similar to high-ranking gang affiliation and the style of execution with which they go about their killings. And they also indicated that law enforcement is actually familiar with that particular home because they had cited gang activity there, and that from time to time they routinely occurred in the past without giving any specifics as to what details were part of that routine occurrence. But the sheriff's department has identified the victims as Rosa Perez, 72 years old, Eladio Perez Jr., 52 years old, Jennifer Anala, 49 years old, Marcos Perez, 19 years old, Alisa Perez, 16 years old, and Nicolas Perez, the 10-month-old baby. Now, this case gives me the chills. This case gives me the chills in as much as it's so bad and expected to be difficult that somebody would take another person's life. It's on a whole different level when you try to imagine the extent one would have to go to actually take the life of a 10-month-old baby. So clearly you can see that the people who did this were on a mission. They were meant to send a message, and they did. They did. Because security agencies are even so surprised, and one was quoted as saying that he just can't wrap his head around what kind of monster would do such a thing. Now, although this has happened to this family, like I was saying earlier, reports indicate that one of the family members have had gang-related issues in the past. He has a tall list of issues as far as gang activity is concerned, and the law is aware of it. Security agencies are aware of it. They've had run-ins with him. For example, on the 3rd of January, a search warrant was issued to search that particular home because of one of the family members called Eladio Perez Jr. And he was a convicted felon, and he was part of the people who ended up being killed in this targeted attack. It is yet to be clear whether he was actually the main target in this hit, but the suspicion is that he might have been related to the targeting decision in one way or the other. That is the suspicion, although it hasn't been concluded yet. But he had a tall rap sheet of crimes, and he was also related to the drug game in one way or the other. So this is what has happened, and investigations are ongoing. Some people are skeptical, although we trust that American security agencies are arguably the best in the world, and you have people like the FBI who are ready to come in if the need arises, together with other sophisticated security agencies. People are also of the view that these guys might have even left the country. There is a suspected working theory by some people that if this was a cartel hit, then most likely they probably came from maybe bordering Mexico, did the hit, and have already left the country. In which case, it might be more difficult for the security agencies to solve this and actually apprehend someone. But these are speculations. I know that in such issues, security agencies don't come out to say much because they don't want to tip their hand to the people who are involved in this. And I know that this is not going to go unanswered. I know that the American security agencies will be digging in, breaking their back to get to the bottom of this and clear and solve this case as soon as possible. But unfortunately, this family of 6 has already lost their lives. Now, it's also being speculated that this might be the beginning of a wave of suspected crime hits that may spread across the United States of America. That is yet to be substantiated as a fact, but it is being presumed that maybe, just maybe, this might be the beginning of other hits in the pipeline. We hope that any surviving family members of these 6 family members would have the strength to actually go through this and move on. We also wish the victims a peaceful rest, and please keep an eye out. You never know what is coming the next day. Stay safe out there.